All righty, all righty. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the webinar with our special panelists. We're adapting to the new normal and emerging the other side. So Julie is my right hand, left hand. Julie, you're the voice behind everybody. Say hi.
Hi, welcome everybody to today's webinar. We're so excited to be here with such a distinguished panel of guests.
So if you want to give them that instructions, Julie, about the that question panel there, because I'm curious to see where people are and all that good stuff. So go ahead.
Absolutely. We've got lots of people joining us right now. So for those of you who are joining us, if you would do us a favor and on your control panel there, you'll see a section that says questions. You can pop that in and tell us where you're from and what you hope to get out of today. We would love to know that as we're going in. We've got about 4 or 5 minutes before we get started, so we'd love to know where you're from and what you hope to get out of today.
And I can't pop my show answer questions. Julie, do you see the are people? Yes, people are being shy. So folks, I'm going to help Julie with that because this happens every time. There we go. We got Sam from Miami. How you doing? So this is a test in your tech abilities, gang. On your screen, there is a panel somewhere floating, and there's a little thing that says questions. So start typing in there where you're from and what do you hope to get out of it today. And now they're starting to respond, Julie.
Now they're starting to respond. Awesome. We've got Delaware in the house. We've got Louisville, California, Rocky Hill, Connecticut, Miami, Florida. Oh, my goodness. Michigan, Syracuse, Oklahoma City, Santa Clarita, El Paso. This is my favorite part. I love this. Queens. We've got York County, Pennsylvania, New Providence, New Jersey. Like to know how to share with my clients what's realistic, like that. Boynton Beach, New Hampshire, Albany, Oregon. Goodness, they're coming in so fast. Rochester, Long Island.
You guys are very enthusiastic. I didn't expect.
Right? Everybody's on it. Virginia, more Rochester, Dallas. They were looking for best practices, hoping for new ideas, curious about what you think about the new normal. Let's see, we got California, Florida, Maine. We got Maine. We got Hawaii on the line, Michigan, Indiana.
Aloha, Hawaii.
Yeah. Hawaii, I love it. Palm Beach Gardens, the heart of California. Have a prospect during these times. Looking for relevant perspectives. Richmond, Naples, Los Angeles. Are we going to go through any digital transactions? Rochester.
Wow, there's a lot of people calling in. Yes, I'm sorry, Julie. Go ahead.
That's okay. Hoping to learn new strategies. For all of you who are just joining us, we've got a couple minutes before we get started. Please use that question section there on your control panel to tell us where you're from and what you hope to get out of today.
Well, I thought this was going to be a heavy Florida call, being that we got two Florida hitters with Mike and Michael, but they're all over the place over here.
We are.
Jersey, how did you get on this call?
RISMedia brand. Thank you.
What was that, Mike?
It's the RISMedia brand, thanks to John.
That's exactly what it is. RISMedia did such an incredible job in promoting this. This is why we're getting such a huge turnout. I actually wish, I got to be honest with you, I wish it was 90 minutes. We're going to have to really get into this material over here.
People looking to relocate down to Florida or Maine.
Yeah, that's right.
Another, we got York, Maine, we've got Granite, Connecticut, Colorado, Georgia, Bonita Springs, Pueblo, Colorado. We got Martha's Vineyard on the house, Southern Maryland. Hi, Mike from Pies in Miami. We got some Michiganders in the house.
Okay. All right, I think, Julie, you know what? We're going to just get started because I know people are still piling in, but I want us to, yes, RISMedia is awesome, Joyce. I agree. They're doing so much to help. What's that, Jules?
I want to let everybody know they can ask questions and we'll get to as many as we can.
Yes. So y'all, those of you that are listening, you can, we're going to start the webinar so you can stop telling us where you're from, but because it's blowing up right now. What we would like you to do, though, is we'd like you to ask questions of our leadership that we have, and we want to try and focus on the managing brokerage and how we're dealing with this from a leadership standpoint. But feel free to ask whatever you want. We'll try and get to as many questions as we can. But before I officially get started, I want to turn this over to our fearless leader, RISMedia, John Featherstone. He is an incredible human being with an incredible organization that is so committed to serving brokers, managers, and agents, especially nowadays. So, John, take it away.
Well, thank you, Darryl, and to all of our esteemed panelists, thank you for being with us today. I am John Featherstone. I am the CEO and president of RISMedia. And before we begin, we hope all of you and your families are safe during this horrible pandemic, something none of us ever thought we'd go through. Our prayers and thoughts are with all of you that have been adversely affected throughout this crisis and in the weeks and days and weeks to come. Thank you all for joining us today to discuss how the real estate industry is adapting and preparing to emerge successfully from this crisis. From an economic perspective, the breaking news today is filled with stories about states such as Florida, Texas, South Carolina, Georgia, and others that are beginning, and I mean beginning, to reopen their economies. As these states and more begin to reopen, we as real estate professionals, who I believe are the backbone of our communities, know how important sensitivity is to today and our clients and our friends and our neighbors. The sensitivity issue is completely something we all should be aware of. Our entire sphere of influence is affected by this epidemic. So sensitivity and safety will be of the utmost concern to all of us on this call today and all of our colleagues as we emerge from this crisis. As brokerage leaders, I believe your leadership and communication skills over the next 90 days will help your organizations provide the assistance consumers are seeking to move forward with their own personal real estate goals and objectives, and they do have them. You are all leaders in your respective communities. No one knows your local markets better than you and your agents do. Your prospects, especially going forward and emerging from this crisis, will be seeking guidance as well as confidence. It's a very important word. I hope we hear it throughout this conversation today. But they'll be seeking confidence along with supportive data from your companies through your sales associates, because you are the real estate leaders that always step up in times of crisis in your local communities. You provide confidence and you communicate and you support your neighbors through crisis. Now, RISmedia's ACE Social is all about confidence and communication, and we're very proud to be sponsoring today's event. From the onset of the COVID-19 crisis, on behalf of all of our ACE members, we have been creating and distributing COVID-19 appropriate real estate content every single day in order to keep all of our clients and their prospects informed and connected with relevant information. All of you should be supplying relevant information on a regular basis to your client base and your prospect base, consistently reinforcing your brands and that of your agents' capabilities. We firmly believe that going forward, communication fueled by objective information and relevant information delivered to your consumers will be more important than ever before. We want to thank all of our ACE Social clients, and we look forward to hopefully adding more ACE clients throughout the country in the days to come. Now, I want to quickly bridge to the following. We are joined today by three incredible real estate leaders, and I mean incredible real estate leaders. Mike Colville, the Chief Operating Officer for One Sotheby's International Realty, a dynamic guy and an incredible professional. David Davin from Maine. When you think of Maine, you're going to think of her and her firm. They're incredible. And then last but not least is a fella whose family personifies real estate. For more than 94 years, his family has been the Florida icons of real estate. And I'm really pleased to have Mike joining us today on this panel, led by, and I'm leaving the last to be introduced, is my good friend and colleague, Darryl Davis. Darryl is a comedian. You have to have a sense of humor, be part of real estate, folks. But he's a real estate coach and educator and the best-selling author of McGraw-Hill's best-selling real estate book, How to Become a Power Agent in Real Estate. And he's the founder of the Power Program. Darryl's a certified speaking professional, a CSP, and let me tell you, we deal with a lot of speakers in RISMedia. Less than 2% of all speakers worldwide have that designation.
Wow.
So with that, I'd like to hand it back to my good friend Darryl, and let's have an incredible and educational day together. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thanks. I got the one clap from the cheap seats over there, Mike. All right, as John said, I like to do a little comedy. All right, so let me just take off sharing the screen here so I can go to this. Is the screen still being shared, Julie, or is it just the images now?
Just the panelists and you.
Just the panelists. Okay, great. So I want to thank you guys. I want to get right into this because we have a lot of people, like a huge amount of people on this call, and I want to hear just from you guys. I'm just going to ask questions, but just give me 90 seconds if you can, so I can create a context of this conversation. We know that in real estate that we should be positive with buyers and sellers, and especially our team members, the agents, and see the positive side and to encourage it. But I want to have a real conversation with you. And as business owners, we all know on this call that one of the philosophies is to plan for the worst and hope for the best. So that way you're not blindsided. We mitigate any possible loss. So I want to have that conversation with you because right now, if we look at the facts is inventory is down 10.2% over last year. We know contracts sold are way down. We know that over 14% of the workforce has filed unemployment, and especially in Florida, industries almost destroyed between hotels, convention center, restaurants, and this is revenue. These are employees. These are people that buy and sell real estate. So the topic is adapting. I'm going to read my notes here. Is adapting to the new normal and emerging on the other side. So here's my first question, and what I'd like you to do is all to give you 2 cents on each one of these questions. The first question is, how has your corporation, your business, your staff have adapted thus far to what's happening? What changes have you made on an operational level to deal with what we're dealing with right now? So whoever wants to take it first.
Ladies first.
Oh, thank you so much. And a big thank you to John and Darryl for inviting me to be on this panel with these two real estate greats. It is such an honor. I'm very excited to be here. I think I'm going to provide a little bit of a different perspective just based on where I am. We are in Maine, and our population for the entire state is less than 1.5 million. So this is a small market, and the scale of my company is a lot different than Michael and Mike's. We are less than 100 agent company. So that's knowing how many people are on this call. I'm hopeful that there's some broker owners and managers out there that are going to really resonate with where the perspective that I'm coming from. We founded.
David, I'm sorry. I do want to say one thing because I don't. This is so crucial to be so people hear this. You started your business in 2012 with just 5 people, and in 7 years you built it to 95 with $1 billion in sales. Wow. So you know what you're talking about.
So yeah, so I'm the sole proprietor, and I sort of made this company up, and I rode this really great wave. Our prices in Maine from 2012 to 2019 have rose 44%. So I'm like, what's the big deal? You open a company and, you do some good things, you treat people right, and boom, here you go. And then the coronavirus hits, and, my mindset is done a 360. I'm strangely inspired through all of this because this is truly a time to lead and to bring out the best in me as a leader, but also everyone that's relying on me. We've been in, just explosive growth, especially the last couple years. In 2019, we had 30% growth. And even in April, my numbers
We're going to be 30% higher this April than we were last April.
Wow.
Let's look at May, guys. Now we're down 35%. And when I start to look at June and July, to Darryl's point, like I've got to start thinking to the future and how we can come back out of this and be where we were. And I think we're going to get into this a little bit more throughout the conversation, but we've been able to, I mean, we're small, we're already tight. We've been able to take our expenses down 33%.
Okay. Could you say real quick before Mike and Michael answer that, just a couple of line items on your P&L that you've cut to help, tighten up?
Yeah, I mean, I've been very fortunate to be on a lot of these calls with people that are doing this better than me in other areas and really brainstorming. So, of course, overhead has been cut, payroll costs have been cut. I am fortunate to own the real estate behind 3 of our 5 locations. So I got forbearance on 6 different mortgages, and then I've been able to play with the rents that way to make this puzzle all fit together. So just really trying to be creative and just tightening what we can.
Awesome, David. Thank you. Mike?
Yeah, I'll go second. There's no question 4 or 5 weeks ago, we went into not a panic by any means, but I think we've been in 2 decades of real estate digitization, basically moving online. It was an evolution. And then we really had a revolution in the last 3 or 4 weeks because everybody was solely focused now on how to do business virtually and socially. So we shut down 50 offices and literally in a matter of a week, put everything virtual. Did our accounting was not ACH driven and wire driven. They all went online and were able to accommodate everybody online and have access to that. Our IT department did a superb job and really was surprising, but I think the foundation was there prior to this crisis. We had the platforms, we had the programs, and so we were able to leverage them and rely on them. We then did a stress test, and what we did is we looked at our business model pretty much in that first week, talked to a lot of people and said, okay, what are we going to be down? And we projected that we were going to be down 50% in the second quarter in closed business for a lot of reasons. I can tell you how we got there. And then we thought we were going to be 25% down in the third quarter, and we were hoping to be only 10% down in the fourth quarter. If you do that math and you take 100% in the first quarter that we were all up or better, and it was a great year that we had coming, which is a little disappointing after maybe 3 or 4 stagnant years, it looked to us that we were going to be down 20 to 25% in total revenues from 2019 to 2020. And then we made a plan and said, well, how are we going to, I don't know about you, but our profit model wasn't that. John, I mean, for an online firm, the profit margin in the brokerage business, my dad used to say, it's a penny and nickel business. You do a lot of volume and you make a little bit of money through that.
Your dad is a very smart guy.
That's right. So we have to watch the pennies and the nickels. And so we then said, just as we heard Dave was saying, is we did look at our personnel and those that we did have to furlough some of those that were no longer receptionists. The offices weren't open, and so we looked at that. We made some payroll reductions to current existing staff. We negotiated with our leases, each of our leases as we went through, and we're still doing that 2-3 weeks into it. We applied for the PPP and did get the money from the PPP, so we moved in very quickly on that. My brother and I agreed not to take any salaries. We also do own 1/3 of our buildings, and we're looking whether we pay those or not. We haven't asked for any forbearance in that. So we looked at our print and print media, and cut that back dramatically in this time, just because we thought that wasn't necessary as the business was dropping. So those were some of the immediate reactionary things. And then we went hard on communication. We went into videos every couple of days, manager meetings. My nephew Jason has a training program 2 times a day for the whole companies from speakers. We brought in Ninja, which we already had. So pretty much every day we have a corporate calendar, and we just robustly got to training, communication, updates to our people, and pretty much have been full on, working a lot harder for a lot less.
Awesome, Mike. That was some great material. Michael, before I jump to you, I want to ask something, Mike. did you see any loss in agents yet, as far as
That's funny. I don't think yet. I think just as everybody, our pendants were up. We were up dramatically in March, 20%, just as we were there. So those closings, we did focus hard on closings with our title company, with our mortgage company, and trying to make sure we did lose some deals, but it was
right.
how little we lost. And we can talk about COVID and how we don't think it's a force majeure, and we didn't want to get into that game with contracts. But now the pain and the pressure is going to come in, just as we heard, May and June. And I think we were preparing for that and hunkering down for it, because no company can handle a 50% drop in revenue without starting to see some blood.
Yeah, great, Michael. Mike, thank you. Michael.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here. Let me just give a little background seasoning of our organization. Our two great founders, Mai Della Vega and Daniel Della Vega, actually started One Sotheby's right in the middle of the last crisis. So, we're an 11, 12-year-old company where our foundation and our day one start time was literally in somewhat of a similar situation as we are today. So at the time myself, I was with a different company, but I too lived through that entire crisis and came out stronger. It was very interesting because 6 weeks ago on a Sunday, I called up a couple of my key team members, head of IT and head of product, and we had a meeting at 4 o'clock in the afternoon that lasted about an hour. And by 11 a.m. the next morning, which was Monday, we transitioned from a traditional brokerage with, office hours, agents walking in, closing deals at the table in our conference rooms, to completely locking down our office and being remote. And I would say that by the early afternoon, we had completed our transition. Now, we had 18 offices, but that was quite remarkable. And literally didn't miss a beat. We had to transfer technology from our offices to the homes of our staff, which really didn't turn out to be that big of a deal. We had been building a technology platform here for years, and we are a remote business. The concept of reduction of space has been something that we've all been talking about now for at least 10 years, the new model, the new space. And the back-end technology, just like what we're using right now, we had that in place. So it was an incredibly rapid transition, and one that was really painless just from that process. When it comes to the things that we've done, my great colleagues here have mentioned a lot of things, optimizing things like payroll, looking at your rent. I mean, those are your two biggest cost, activities in your organization. But then there's a lot of others. We looked at, talking to our vendors about what flexibility we had, contracts that were either close to term or within 6 months. We talked about either renegotiating and optimizing the price. I mean, we took a we're all in this together attitude, one that was really wanting to partner and work with everybody instead of just saying we're not paying, because that was never the case. We talked to everybody. And it was a we strategy, the whole company. We divided and conquered. So myself, our CFO, our two great founders, we all picked a particular specialty that we had and we focused on it. Mine is, I've got a very strong technology background, so I focused on technology. Okay. Other people did other things. But when you look at the net of what we've done, I think Mike said it, we had really focused over the last 6 weeks on over-communicating, leveraging all the technology that we have. I'll use the word inundating, but that's not really used in a bad way. We've been inundating our agents through our managers and through our company side with really interesting content all over the place. How to use technology, how to better yourself in real estate, how to do virtual open houses, how to be well and healthy. Mai Della Vega, our CEO and founder, had a fantastic program which she was pushing way before this happened about health and wellness. We just transitioned that from being together to doing it remotely. So all the things that we were doing, it kind of all became a perfect, I don't want to say perfect storm, but a perfect virtuous cycle of using these things. And until our agents start crying foul about having too much communication, we're doing it. We did a count, and I'll pass it back to you, Darryl, but we did a count of last week. We had 60 different virtual events, from training to virtual happy hours, things that are there for morale building. I mean, just all kinds of different things to keep everybody both informed as well as motivated.
That's awesome. I've got to say that, Michael, it's almost like you were. I know you spent over 500 grand on a new website with new back end, new technology, and when I saw that, I was like, boy, this guy, he saw this coming. Like you were prepared for it, which was so. Just take credit and say how brilliant you are. Now, by the way, I want to just say one thing to people that are listening and watching. If you're a real estate agent and we're having these leadership type conversation, what I want you to do is look at these really smart, brilliant business people and how they did what they did and equate it to how you can do this in your own individual business, because every salesperson is a business owner and you should think this way. Okay, here's my next question. So as you probably heard, the head of the CDC, Robert Redfield, he had just said yesterday in an interview, I think it was the Post, that this last quarter of this year, this virus is going to come back again, and he anticipated it's going to be worse because then there's going to be the flu. So now we got the flu and so this last quarter is going to be an interesting time for us all. How do you see going into 2021? What do you think the new normal is going to be, not just in your businesses, but for real estate as a whole? So looking at your company structures, operation, buyers, sellers, agents. So if you were to just verbalize what the new real estate reality is going to be going into 2021, what do you guys predict? And I mean, guys, as a general thing, Dava, sorry.
And gal, I can't wait for the new normal in 2021. Hopefully that comes soon. I think, I'm starting now for 2021. We've raised our agent count 10% since March 16th, and focusing on the things that I can control, so that outcome is on the upswing. Focusing on the positive, feeling really positive about the strength and the cohesiveness of the staff now that we're so connected, and I'm relying on them so much, and really feeling the love and the loyalty from the agents, based on a lot of similar things on a smaller scale that Michael verbalized. 3 things that I think that I've learned from this is Zoom meetings. Okay, these things are awesome. We can't house a company meeting, so we have to lease space, and we do that 4 times a year, and we'll still do that, to have that belly-to-belly interaction, but like monthly Zoom meetings, and then we do the breakouts. Do you guys do that and put them all into their office meetings? So we're kind of killing 2 birds with 1 stone, having the company messaging and then the more particular office messaging. So that's been great. And then I think Michael mentioned it, office space. So that has sort of been our MO, creating these beautiful spaces and like the safe, warm environment for the agents and a welcoming place for the community. But that's probably going to kill me. So right now we have a dedicated desk model and looking to the future and really creating more of a shared experience for the agents, especially as we grow. And then just really realizing how our communication has changed and how much more efficient we are now with, we have meetings when they start the day and when they close out the day. And so we're getting things done a lot quicker because we're not waiting next week for the next meeting. It's like the next day. So those are the 3 things that I really have seen for my operation that I think will continue in 2021. For buyers and sellers, I think that's going to depend on each market. For us in Maine, I do see a lot of in-migration coming from folks that are in more dense areas that have seen this hit a lot harder. And, we don't have a lot of jobs here, so this is a lifestyle choice. And now with everybody telecommuting, they'll be able to make that option if they wanted to come here, but they couldn't find a position. So I think that's going to really benefit us and get those transaction counts up again in 2021. And then as far as like how is it going to affect the agents, I think Mike Patha said this last week on a webinar, and you can get my data right, but I think he said 25% of brokerages in the Great Recession didn't survive. So like I'm hoping for that. and seeing a lot, like it is time, for some of the older generation, they might not come back for this in time for new agents to come in, and agencies that just might not make it and be able to, take their talent or do some acquisition. So looking forward to that in 2021.
Awesome, David. Thank you. That was very clear. Michael?
Oh, John was going to say something. John, what are you going to say?
I've got a question and comment, Darryl, for everyone, and thank you, Mike. Again, communications is extremely important. I think we're all recognizing the new form of communication. I know each one of you, and the struggle that many established brokerages firms have is a monthly meeting, office meeting, trying to get agents to even appear at that, okay? But I think there's a statement and a question I'd like to hear all of you answer. Recruiting and retention is still going to be the lifeblood of all of your organizations. Yeah. But I think, and one of the reasons why I'm so glad all three of you said you'd be part of this, is because we've looked at your firms and seen how you not only are stable and you grow, but you are safe havens for agents that want to grow their personal business. They would like to be associated with far-reaching and thinking firms. So with that, I mean, all three of you, over-communicating, how are you going to translate that, and how are you translating that to your managers over the next 90, 120, 180 days to step up your recruiting and to talk about how you are a safe haven and a solid organization?
Yeah, Darryl, I would say it's funny that you jumped to 2021. We're just trying to get through 2020. I mean, I said the worst is coming before the good is coming. So I do think that this is a fluid market, and yeah. We really do know or have the crystal ball. And so I think adjustments and audibles are going to be made along the way, and they're going to have to be made. And I think flexibility, keeping your ear to the ground, kind of like Tonto back in the Lone Ranger, knowing, that somebody's coming, where it's coming, and then being able to adjust and move toward that. So I think agility and flexibility are going to be key. There's no question that hopefully by 2021, business will pick up. The predictions are 6, 7, 8% better than 2020. Now, that doesn't reach the 2019 level, so it'll be an improving market, but may not be the boom market that everybody thinks. Saying that, it could be a boom market because in a crisis like a hurricane, we go through hurricanes here, people accelerate their business decisions. And I said this on one, we actually had a New Yorker on a $5.5 million property on a waterfront under construction. Called us up and said, I was planning on moving to Florida. I'm going to move, and I need to I was going to build my own home, but it looks like this is the new home that you're building. We said, well, you're going to have to put a deposit up. We're going to have to get you a contract. He wired $500,000 into our account before we had the contract or even negotiated. Then he flew down, bought the home in the last 2 weeks. So I do think people will be making decisions, and either they don't like their home, they don't like their spouse, and so we deal with So I think that there should be a surge and there should be a pickup. Saying that, I think you've heard it. I mean, are we going to need the square footage? No. JP Morgan says they're not going to need the square footage. We already know we don't need the square footage. So again, the foundation laid yesterday is now helping us all as brokers make the tougher decisions that we've been unwilling to make because we think the old model still works. So it will be a communal, it will be a more maybe hub and spoke. You may have bigger offices and then have smaller offices around. And you may not even need the brick and mortar. There are firms out there that don't have brick and mortar and seem to be able to grow. We think still brick and mortar matters. Communications, we feel like we're relational people. But in the last 2-3 years, we've seen less and less of those individuals coming into the offices because now everything is virtual, and this is on steroids moving it forward. I think you're going to have to do more with less because of the margin squeeze, the payouts to the associates, and the demand that they're going to offer. So obviously, it goes to David, consolidation is going to matter unless I'm going to be a boutique niche. to be able to offer what Michael just spent, $500,000 or more, and we're spending millions of dollars on technology. But we do have that virtual technology that literally through social media, through content, RISMedia has got their own program, the ACE program that can go up on and put you on social media automatically. There's a lot of those programs out there, but I think if you're not on social, if you're not doing squeeze pages, landing pages, have AI interacting with those clients, being able to drip market, doing banner ads where the new eyeballs are, I don't think you're going to be as relevant tomorrow as you were today. That generation may be shifting, but the new generation wants to be able to do real estate online right now when I need it and have access.
That's great. And I got to say, Mike, I watched an interview with your daughter, Christina, and because you were saying keeping your ear down to the, and Bob and we be fluid. You guys said something that for some reason just hit me like, wow, that's like a great idea. About you were talking about new construction and how great new construction is. And Christina said, yeah, because no one's worried about the virus. So it's clean. And I'm like, well, that's so silly and so true. So great points.
A program that they all could get called newhomesource.com. And it's literally a builder's MLS. Every broker should have it. You can go in and get it. And it gives you all of the products, the square footage, the layouts, and you basically generic listings that your associates can then put on the market and look and promote it as if it was their own listings.
Yeah, awesome, very great. Michael, what do you see the new norm in 2021?
Well, let me just circle back and give a real quick answer to John's question. Recruit, retain is always so critical to our overall stability and then growth. Not even for a millisecond have we stopped that. As a matter of fact, we see a significant opportunity for exactly what you were referring to, in the sense that when you look at the brand of One Sotheby's and the brand of all of my esteemed colleagues, it does present the stability and opportunity for agents to land themselves in a place where they know we're going to be here tomorrow. The last cycle we went through, which was so much longer than this one, at least from how the optics look today, we don't know what the end result is. But you look at this, at least from one set of optics, says it's going to be short term. The next set of optics, where the CDC head and other scientists are beginning to shed a little doom and gloom on what's happening towards the end of this year or early into 2021 medically. And so obviously we have to have our game face on, and we have to have eyes fully in a 360 view, but we've never stopped and used this opportunity to recruit as much as we can. As far as 2021 goes, there is absolutely no doubt in any of myself or the people that I speak to on a regular basis that this whole experiment, which obviously we were forced into, has really created, it's pushed people into using technology who would never ever would have gone to a sales meeting. They never would have sat into a coaching section or a session ever and listened to that coach and said, you know what, tomorrow I'm going to do video conferencing. I'm going to go into a virtual tour situation. There are services and names nobody had ever heard of. If you talk about an agent level, what is Twitch? What is Periscope? These are all things now that have become common language as all of our agents are striving to find that next best technology and that next best way to differentiate themselves. I don't know about you, but I go to my mailbox once a day, once every other day. I only go maybe once or twice. There's nothing in there. The entire direct mail system has generally stopped. I don't get bills anymore, and I'm sure that it's the same for you as far as being delivered electronically. But when it comes to the number of virtual tours, the number of streaming sessions, I mean, we've been having we do a thing called power-ups. These are 20-minute sessions, although they end up lasting about 45 minutes with Q&A follows. That focuses on really technically strong or business focused activities that help the agents. And we do these are kind of filler gaps. I mean, we're trying to fill every nook and cranny of the day with content. What I have seen, which is very encouraging to me for what the future is going to look like for real estate, my foundation is technology, and I got into real estate and now I do operations. But at my heart, I've always loved technology and felt that it was going to completely transform this business. And my predictions were wrong. I thought that this business would be transformed probably 10 years ago.
Yeah.
But it's transforming now. It's happening so fast right in front of our eyes that if you actually blink and you miss it, I think you're going to be in a significant disadvantage for 2021 and beyond. Those that have opened their eyes, that have adopted this, even though it's painful, it's new. The thing that I'll stress is that the engagement that I have seen, that we've seen as a company over the last 5-6 weeks has been unbelievable. A sales meeting that I would go speak at or attend, might have 10 to 20% of the agents show up. Now you're talking 50, 60, 70%. We did a sales meeting this morning where we had 90% participation.
Wow.
Unbelievable, right? So the technology, I mean, obviously agents have a thirst and there's a level of nerves and there's a level of emotion, but at the same time, there's a level of both opportunity. They're being both opportunistic, which I think is very important, and they're being optimistic of how the company can position them. And so I was blown away by one of our managers' salesmen this morning that had a 90% participation rate. And I think that is beginning to tell us what the future will look like. I mean, there's a lot of things that we can get into in detail, but keeping it at this level for this group and for the audience, don't take your eye off this technology ball. It is absolutely so important. And it's, I think, going to be really the pretext of how technology will continue to, elevate and really, I don't want to say disintermediate us, because I don't believe that's the case at all. What I believe it's going to be is it's going to be that most powerful tool that allows our agents and the industry to thrive more than ever.
Well, Michael, let me actually jump to one of my questions that piggybacks on that. So, I just learned that Zillow reported in the past 30 days their 3D tours has jumped 599%.
Yeah.
That the listings with 3D tours got 50% more views than the non-ones, and they were saved 60% more. So this makes me think, when I want to ask you, is there any technology that you've implemented in the company other than Zoom GoToMeeting? I don't want to hear that anymore. We all know that one. So what is this? What technology are you guys doing or encouraging the agents to use? Or that you're even using on a company-wide basis? So go ahead.
Well, Darryl, you mentioned a short while ago about the fact that we released our new website. It turned out to be an incredible blessing in disguise to release this during this time period, because it was like it fueled everybody. It energized, it provided such confidence to, our agents, and maybe, I hope, with the exception of Mike, but I hope within the community, it began to resonate and vibrate the fact that, we're doing things. And so, this has created a tremendous amount of internal conversation and quite frankly, so many positive feelings. But directly with technology, I couldn't agree more. And I've been a huge proponent for the last 2 decades in using the most modern technology with visual assets and tools. Today, we have incredible 3D technology. We're at the forefront, and I believe that things like virtual reality, augmented reality, are going to completely revolutionize that first and second home, tour experience. As the technology becomes far more available, far cheaper, it's going to become literally what you can get for $19.95 or less. I mean, we're nearly there with that technology. But as you said, the 3D tours, the dollhouse views that some of those companies are producing that give these incredible virtual walkthroughs. You can do incredible virtual staging. You can do all kinds of things. We've seen a huge increase in those usage. We've seen a huge increase in our agents wanting to understand that technology. It's one of the power-ups that we did last week. and we had incredible participation in trying to understand it. Doing the virtual tours, not in the sense of doing Zoom or GoToMeeting or whatever, WebEx, but using more of an open house, just sitting there, a streaming service like YouTube streaming, which is the one that I generally talk to our agents about. Free, incredibly powerful, super easy to use. But it's that kind of technology that is in place today that our consumers want. Okay? Our sellers want it, the buyers absolutely want it, and our agents are now being moved along very quickly in that learning chain. But 2021 is going to really be about the realities, about virtual reality and augmented reality. I think it is going to really change things.
Awesome. Okay, Mike, David, whichever.
I'm just going to say I think in my mind, I'm getting old, and you talk about my daughters, so and daughters. So it is, but I think back, and you mentioned we thought there was going to be a revolution. 20 years ago, we found the internet. The internet came on. We put our listings on. It was stagnant. Nothing really happened, but we said, hey, we got our listings on. 10 years ago, search became the big component, and so basically the portals came on, and we go, hey, you can get leads. I mean, hey, isn't this amazing? And I remember even saying, well, copy us on those leads to the managers so we know what the agents do. And then we all know that percent of them aren't being answered. And I think we're in the time now of CRM and database management and being able to manage those quantity of leads. And so if you don't have a system that is able to manage your database, to be able to communicate, take the lead from cradle to grave in a sense, and be able to, and ours is now automatically, lead comes in, we're doing slide dial on their voicemail. We're communicating automatically with them, the bot, and responding back to them, sending them an email, and being able to be real engaged and seeing my wife. My two daughters just had babies in Coral Gables, and they say, you got to move to us. We live in a town called Pinecrest, which is ironic. And it's about 7 miles from them, but takes maybe 20, 25 minutes. They go, you need to move closer. So my wife started looking online, and at 10 o'clock, my son-in-law texted her. And she goes, oh, look, Shay's texting me. And she was looking at a home in Coral Gables, and I said, he isn't texting you, the machine's texting you. So, but it saw that he was looking at this property and saying, can I help you? And so I think those are really, so I think we've moved to now we can get leads. We know how to get leads. We've got that. And what we've been talking to our associates about is getting their database. Drip marketing is key. Property watch, we're using buy side. I know with the MLS data, within buy side, it can be a coming soon. We have 3,500 agents and 4,000 employees. So we basically are now sending properties throughout our 3 brands and then able to tell them about that property in advance. So I think there's key critical things that are helping us become more efficient and operationally better to the consumer and to our associates.
Well, I mean, I don't know if people realize all the different softwares that you just referenced, slide dial, buyer side. I hope people are going to have to listen to it again, because that was bada bing, ba boop, ba bop, and it was great. Dave, you're up.
Awesome. I take a lot of notes. One thing that we've been using, and audience, if you're not using this, write this down, is Earnest. So it's basically Venmo for your Earnest deposits. And that's really helpful here for, efficiency is not having this with having no staff here and not having to collect the check. So that was very an easy one to adapt. We're slow adapters here in Maine. So that was big for us.
Awesome. Now I want to. I need to ask this question because I'm jumping around now because Julie, do we have some questions that are appropriate that we want to get to?
Oh, do we have some questions?
I see it's blowing up. We need like 3 hours with these people. Before I do, because I want to make sure I get this one in, because there is something that I think it was Dave. I don't know who said it, but it was Dave about the recruiting. That you actually grew 10%. Would you folks agree? Probably now is a great time for people to get into real estate as a profession.
Yes. And I think Michael alluded this to his company was started in the recession. I think all agents, this is new for all of them. No one's operated in coronavirus before either. So this is an opportunity to really stir up that confidence in our current agents, but also for new agents, you know, some people are going to phase out, and there's an opportunity there for all of this technology that they're talking about and just that new generation to come in. Real estate's going to be here for a long time. We provide a service that is essential, and so I think it's a great time. You know, great brokers are going to survive and be great, and the bad ones are going to be gone. So
yeah, I think, Darryl, that no company can exist for 94 years, 10 years, 5 years if you're not growing. And with the margin squeeze, the raise of cost, I mean, just doing the math. And if you're not a selling broker, and if you are a selling broker, many of you know that you can carry it a little bit. But at the end of the day, if you're trying to make a profitable company off of the operation, you're going to need to have size and scope. So recruiting has to be fundamentally. Now, my dad used to say, a third's coming, a third's going, and a third's with you. So it may not be that today, maybe 25%, but it scare you if you really look at your sales force. And you asked me earlier how many people have left the business, and there's no question there will be a flush out from this, that people that were weaker in the market will decide not to go farther into it, and there will be a need. Quality is key, and trying to get people that are productive. So I think no question, in a down market, new people learn better. And I think with technology and the changes that are going into place, some people don't want to address it that are seasoned and are here in biz. So I think there's a great transition we're going through for new licensees to come in. Now, the negative, in Florida, they couldn't take their state exam. We shut that down too, and that's just reopened. And so now through FR and our help and support, we got to reopen it back up. And so lightly and distancing, but you can't sit next to the person when you take the exam, but you can take the exam now.
Okay. All right. Cool. Very cool. And Michael, your thoughts on getting into real estate as a salesperson?
You know, it's interesting. I think two things have happened. I think one, first of all, it's always a good time to really evaluate this as a career. The last 10 or so years, I think we've begun to see a different set of characteristics, traits from the people coming in to the business. You know, they're far more tech savvy. They are customer service educated by virtue of either their training from a different job and such, and the opportunity is unbelievable. But I'm also seeing something really interesting, and that is the last 6 weeks have probably been the best time for our agents to take an opportunity to take a breath, to take a pause, and then to really refocus and to re-energize themselves. I think our agents, and from some peers that I speak to, I think they are better prepared. While this is something that nobody wants to ever go through, and my gosh, this is horrific, but at least a little bit of lemonade out of this is the fact that everybody is recharged. They are more competent on using the modern tools. And I think when they come out of this in the hopefully very near future, they're going to be really running hard and fast in potentially a market that is, with some pent-up demand. This is not 2008, and that's what we can never let that sink in. But I think it's, the industry and us as brokers and those of you listening on this phone call, it is a great time to reach out and start talking to people that have the right characteristics, the right traits that would fit into your organization, your culture, and bring them in. This has always been a fantastic opportunity that is limitless for agents. It's one of the only opportunities where you're your own boss, you're your own CEO, you make your rules, and those that really connect, they do phenomenally well. And that those that don't, there are so many services if you just take advantage of them within the mentoring groups that are around there, the training groups that are around there. Great opportunity always for our agents, but for new agents. But for the existing agents, I think some of them have really taken heart and are going to come out of this turn with the gas pedal slammed down.
Yeah. And you know what? Go ahead, Mike.
We're working on right now, our Steve Rybell, who does our mergers and acquisitions, we're negotiating with a firm right now with about 15 agents, folding them into one of our branches. We had been talking to them before. We didn't do a deal probably 6 months ago, but in this pandemic, they're going, we're ready. And,
Okay.
and a lot of it has to do with what you're talking about, is coming to a safe place, having the tools and technology, having the support. It is lonely out there, and I do think together we are stronger and better. And I think it's going to be forced to be able to do that in the future also.
And I'm going to say one important thing with that: you as leaders, broker owners, you have you are in such a huge, great position to make a difference in people's lives. And what I mean by that is there's so many people who have lost their job, and real estate could be their saving answer. And that's who you guys are for them. You give them that opportunity, these people that need that. So yes, now is a great time to become a real estate agent. Julie, let's jump to your questions. So these guys don't know what's coming at them, so be nice.
Best strategies for getting new agents up and running.
And what I like to do, gang, if you don't mind, let's do rapid fire answers so we can get through as many questions as we can in our 10 minutes. Go ahead.
Yeah, sphere of influence. I mean, talking to your sphere, getting your database, making 10 calls to your clients a day, writing 2 notes, asking them the Ford questions: family, occupation, recreation, and dreams. If you do that on a consistent basis, you'll have all the business you want.
Great.
Yeah, agreed. We're a ninja company too, and so get them in that auto flow program, and get them to a ninja selling installation so they can have that blueprint.
Shout out to Lolo. It's another program if you want that. Local businesses for $1. You can give a gift to Lolo is a company. For $1, you can give a gift to a local company to keep the flow, as David said.
Lolo. Okay, great. Next question, Julie. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Michael. No, you got something. Go.
I'm just going to throw unbelievable onboarding, unbelievable coaching, mentoring, and constant communication.
Awesome.
I
Next.
love it. Your top 3 tech recommendations. Go.
Top, what? You mean anything?
Well, like for services like 3D tours, or you guys have mentioned a lot of tech during this, so.
Okay.
I think we need Form Simplicity or app files or DocuSign to do contracts. Matterport obviously is the new hot one, and KV Core is our platform for technology.
Great.
Yeah, I think it's an unbelievable CRM package that is fully integrated with your website. I think it's the usage of some form of data analytics and insight. It doesn't have to be super technical, but something that will help you to understand the trends of the marketplace and such. And then the rest of your utility belt, which is CMA, all of the 3-letter acronyms, and transaction management. It's all of that and a good virtual tour package.
Awesome.
Dava?
I can't answer that.
She'll jump in. Let's do rapid fire, Jules. They'll jump in. They'll interrupt us if we are going too fast. Go ahead. Next one.
I feel the demand will be there, but will buyers be there after this virus ends, in your opinion?
I think buyers are there now, waiting and ready with low interest rates at 3.5%. Could go lower. I wouldn't count on it. But you got the lowest rates in 50 years. If you've got a job, you can get the financing. And there's affordability factors at the best case. We're seeing millennials buying, and they haven't hesitated. The silent generation is the one that's a little quieter, and the baby boomers are trying to figure it out. But there's no question that the wind behind the sail is the millennials moving into this market and buying today. There's more buyers than there are sellers.
Wow.
Agreed. I mean, I think it's market specific, but for us, we had no showings allowed in Portland, Maine, and then we got them to change it. We had a listing come on the first day of showings, 18 offers. There was 8 offers in 4 hours. So now there's 17 other buyers out there that need property, So in our market, definitely buyers are there.
Home has become more important.
Yes.
I was going to say, I think our homes are our safety nets. They're our castles, and more people are going to want to own them and feel safe.
I want to add to that. I think what you all 3 just stated is what we're seeing across the board in our nation. There's no lack of consumer confidence in real estate. Interest rates are extremely low. Consumer confidence is there, and now it's been pent up for several weeks. It'll be very interesting to see what the next 6 to 9 weeks bring.
And I wrote Lawrence June, said, give me the median average price since 1970. The only time prices went down for single family homes in the nation was in the 08 recession. I mean, up till then, it paused, it flattened a little bit, but basically home pricing for the last 50 years has gone up as long as we didn't cause the problem, which we did in 08.
Exactly. Yeah, this is not the real estate market is not creating this pandemic. This is why that part's different. Yeah. Next, Julie.
What programs are you finding that you are providing that agents are most interested in hearing in terms of training?
Training programs. Oh, geez. They're going to have to now say some of our competitors, Julie. Why the heck did you ask that question? What the heck? All right, go ahead, answer it.
Darryl Davis smiling.
Darryl Davis.
So I don't use any companies, but so we have webinars like how to get your together, and just things of like how to keep connecting them to their sphere and just keeping it back to the basics. And really, I think there's so many programs and you can go crazy trying to figure out which one is right, but like what you need to instill is the confidence in these agents. They signed up to be 100% commission and to work nights and weekends. These guys are capable of so much. You just need to tell them that they are, and give them that permission. So giving a clear message of how to navigate these waters, they're going to go do it. So I think that's, more important than kind of anything else is to really give them what they need and enable them to go do their jobs.
It's a face-to-face, eyeball to eyeball, belly to belly. Now I know in this term we can't do that, but anything that can engage your associate to engage with their clients and keep in touch, listen to their needs, understand their wants is the home run factor. Anything else, in my mind, is noise.
Got it. All right.
I think the top three basically would be a lot of tech. How do I groom my my CRM? How do I groom my database? How do I use a new website? That's number one. Talking to sellers, right? How do I get listings during this time? Great opportunity, listing inventory is down, but people want to sell. So how do I talk to them? And then I think the last thing that we hear a lot about is how can I show a property? I have a buyer that wants to see it. How do I show it?
And I think we haven't talked about that yet, but I think the new normal, what we're telling people is just today is the new normal. I know it sounds weird and we are still in the shutdown, but masks, cleaning, social distancing. If you go to the store now, you've seen the new normal. It's not. We actually are pushing. Some of our people are thinking the light switch is going to come on in 2 weeks. It isn't going to come on. It's still going to be dark. And so you need to solve the problems, come up with solutions, and be able to navigate in this new world that's going to be with us for many months in the future. It isn't. I think you're going to see people with masks, social distancing for months in the future. So get used to it, figure out how to do business, and go do it.
I want to that perfect, Mike. I want to Julie, make sure I can share the screen. You can see it. Do you see the screen?
I do.
All right. So there's a couple of things I want to say to close this out. Just give everybody this information. First of all, John had referenced the ACE Social. This is the time now to ramp up your social media campaign. And of all the programs out there, this is the best one that I know of that really helps agents. It's set and forget. So look at that website, print the screen, go check it out, see what it is. Another one, there's two on one slide. There's our coaching program, just to make people aware, is on the top there, darrylspeaks.com for trial. I'm not going to talk about it, just go there, look at it. But the one I do want you to make sure, every Wednesday in the morning, or I think, no, it doesn't matter what time, I do weekly training sessions on virtual listing appointments. It's all free. It's to help our industry get through these challenging times in this new real estate reality. Print the screen so you have that. All right. Listen, John, thank you so much for putting this together. And you're an incredible leader. And thank God for RISMedia and you for doing this. And Mike and Michael, Dava, you made my heart smile by you squeezing in the time, because I know how busy you guys are, to make a difference in the world and helping our industry. So God bless you and thank you for all your great knowledge. Gang, we will somehow get a recording out to you for this because there was so much great stuff, and I saw that in the messages that you all want to copy. So somehow John and team there are going to get it out to you. All right. All right, gang. God bless you. Stay focused, stay safe, and don't forget to keep smiling. All right. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks for
Bye-bye.
attending.